What's up, bro?
You got it, bro. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm good. I'm good. Good to see you, Doc.
You too, man. Is the lighting cool?
Yeah, you good. You good,
Okay.
man. So, man, I'm glad you joined me in the Instagram live world, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Glad to be in the building with you, bro. Last
Yeah,
time we got together was for the Prince tribute, wasn't it?
yeah, yep. That's for sure, man. And that was like, we'll get into the guitar playing, but that was like the first time that I really saw you go off. I was like, what? I had heard the stories, but I'm like, goodness gracious. So
Uh-huh.
we definitely gonna get into that. The people are just gonna be popping in, so feel free to acknowledge people however you want to. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
I'll just ask you some questions, and we'll just do like we normally do, but in front of people. So
Let's
um,
get it.
I wanted to ask you about Nashville.
Uh-oh.
I gotta
Uh-oh.
ask you about Nashville because Nashville is an interesting place to me because we think of Nashville as the country music capital, of the world basically. So
Hmm.
I always wanted to know from a perspective that I cared about, let's say, because there are people who would tell me stuff I don't really care what they think. But from your perspective, especially being, you know, a musician and an artist, what was it like being black, growing up black in Nashville, especially as it related to music and getting that inspiration?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, man, I really didn't have no problem in Nashville. Because, even though it was known for country music and everything, mainly, but the gospel industry and the underground R&B soul music, in Nashville. It's crazy, man. It's a lot of great musicians in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah, for sure.
know, and I played with a bunch of them. You know, um, in Nashville when I became of age. Well, first of all, I started out singing with Bobby Jones when I was 8 years old.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because my mom and them took me to church, Emmanuel Missionary Baptist Church. That's my home church in Nashville, Tennessee. And the musician there, Mr. Gary Jones, was who I ended up being a musician up under him at my church in my teen years when I turned 18. And but at the age of 8, he was already playing for Bobby Jones. So when he heard me sing, then he was like, we need to take him. So my mom went over with me and my sister, and we were all in the Love Train Gospel Choir, with Bobby Jones,
Right.
300 voices and all of this kind of stuff. And so, I had a chance I started traveling early because I ended up being able to sing in front of a 300 voice choir in Cleveland, Ohio, with James Cleveland and the James Cleveland Gospel Music Workshop. So I'm standing up on a little box, and then it's Shirley Caesar, Bobby Jones, the choir, and James Cleveland on the stage. And I'm like,
Wow.
so I started doing it early, and then as I started coming of age, and I started learning how to play all these instruments and stuff by ear,
Mm.
stuff like that. Through school, I started learning the theoretical part of music.
Okay.
And so that's how I came up in the game, ended up at Tennessee State University, singing with the marching band and stuff and playing piano for the jazz band,
Oh wow.
the TSU Jazz Ensemble. And,
Okay.
they used to travel overseas and everything and stuff, you know what I'm saying? And so I had the chance to play for Mr. Dizzy Gillespie when he came to the school.
Right. Right. Big
Yeah,
Jaws.
yeah.
So
So
let me dive into some of that a little bit. Was there ever a push and pull for you as it related to gospel, seeing as though you got in, you were heavily involved in gospel. It played a huge part in your upbringing, and you experienced that type of prominence with being able to sing with big names in gospel music. Was that ever, was it ever, did you ever have to weigh that balance at all, or did you kind of know what you wanted to do musically?
I kind of knew what I wanted to do, because I was intrigued by Prince, Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, Donny Hathaway, the Isley Brothers, etc., etc., etc. You know what I'm saying? So it was always in me anyway, you know.
Yeah.
But I am a firm believer of the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and so I started at an early age, going to church and everything, and so that was always in me, and then with my gospel roots, but I really didn't have a big battle with myself. Like I
Hmm.
said, I was a church musician, but also on the weekends, I was playing at one of the most popular clubs where people like James Brown back in the day, Etta James, and a lot of big names had come through this club called the Modern Era Club,
Okay.
Mr. Sue. So I ended up being a part of the house band there, the Sioux City Band. And man, we went on to do some, quite a few things. We were in the Budweiser Superfest and everything. We won that, and so we got a chance to record a 2-song album, and stuff
Okay.
like that. So, I was into it, man. I was in Fridays and Saturdays. I'm in the club, and then Sunday morning I'm at the with my choir robe on, sitting at the organ, directed, ready to go. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. You know what I mean? So, so I ended up having the opportunity to audition for Silk.
Okay.
I'm kind of like skipping over a few things,
I
because
love it.
going through school and then playing at the club and the church and everything, and then uh, one of I had a management team with 2 ladies in Nashville, and one of them knew the wife to the husband and wife team that was managing Silk
Okay.
in Atlanta, and Keith Sweat held auditions for a new lead singer.
Okay.
So we got wind of it, and so Louise said, "Hey, bring your boy on down. I heard you talking about your guy. Bring your guy on down." So we drove down, and it was about 9 of us that auditioned, and I ended up getting it. And then later, years and years afterwards, here like about 3 or 4 years ago, I just realized that they told me that from Outkast, CeeLo, they told me that CeeLo was one of the guys that auditioned.
Oh, wow.
I was like, come on, man, you gotta be kidding me, right? Come on now.
Wow.
So, yep, so I got it, and then, so I was in church that on Sunday mornings, and then they made the announcement, and everybody just went up, and then
Wow.
everybody really didn't want to see me go, but hey, I was like,
Yeah.
gotta go.
Yeah.
So went down to I went down to Atlanta on my birthday, January 26th of 1992, and that was a Super Bowl Sunday.
Wow.
So I went to Atlanta, and the rest is history. So here we are now.
Wow. So when it comes to you're a multi-instrumentalist, you talked about it earlier. Pianos first, right? Or wrong?
Um, sort of, kind of, it's kind of like a real tie between that and guitar,
Okay. Okay.
because I used to play around on this little organ that I had at home, and I used to play songs. It had a little book that came with it and everything. But I received a guitar from my sister's boyfriend. It was an acoustic guitar. So I started picking out stuff on that, and so they realized that. And so my sister had gotten married, and so then they decided to surprise me with guitar lessons.
Nice.
Yeah, and so they surprised me with that, but I got surprised because I'm left-handed, like Jimi Hendrix.
So did you turn it upside down or
I had to because he was a right-handed instructor.
got you?
They they neglected to realize that, which was cool. So he flipped me over. So and then after a year of taking lessons, he said that I needed a higher level instructor. So I just took what I learned from him, and I took my own expertise and listening to people like Ernie Isley. Oh my God, Ernie Isley, Prince, Jimi Hendrix, and B.B. King, and all of that kind of thing. So I just kind of developed myself, and just went
What
on with it.
when it comes to I know there are people who are watching and people ask me a lot about learning an instrument. And for me, I grew up around a lot of musicians, so I kind of, could pick up pieces and things like that. But as someone who has taken some degree of lessons, but has also learned a lot from what you've heard and studying, what is the best way that you would give, if you were to advise someone who wants to try to take their talent to the next level and try to acquire an instrument? What's the best advice you can give them to do it successfully? Is it jump into lessons? Is it just pay attention to YouTube and other musicians? What would you say?
Well, now, they have so many different avenues. It's where you can get information. It's not funny. So I would say, take advantage of all of those avenues. Because social media is a beast.
Yeah.
So take advantage of all of those avenues, but it does not hurt to go to an old school cat, school teachers or whatever, and get that theory, bro.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you something, that can take you a long way.
Wow.
You can get calls from, and become a member of the musicians union and stuff like that. If you were going to be into it that deep,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. It's important, to know, because some people need to know what a flat seven chord is, and what a transition chord, and your scales and everything and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's very important, to fuse the two together. And I don't care what anybody says, because you know some of the younger cats, they may think they know it all and everything and stuff like that, but you can get one of them old cats that'll come and put a whooping on you real quick if you're not equipped.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
They will hand you your heart. Here it is, bro. So I came up with the best. I made sure I looked and I learned.
Yeah, man. That's dope. Um, you also mentioned TSU. Shout out to TSU. I have some TSU folks in my family. Uh, shout out to all the people who went to HBCUs. There's nothing like that experience either. I was curious though. G, were you singing to them? Were you singing to them on the yard, bro? Or I know you said you were.
Let me tell you something.
I'm like, I know G was just going crazy.
Man, I was doing talent shows. I started doing talent shows and stuff like that when I was like I remember in the fourth grade, I had this little band that I had put together, that we had put together, and we would play for in the pod. All the classes would come out and sit in the middle of the whole school and everything, and we kind of like put on a little concert for them. It was so cute. Didn't know pretty much what we was doing, but anyway, so we did that, and then junior high, in junior high, well, all the way through school, I was always doing something kind of musical, whether it was a play, or something like that or anything, so, but it really got serious when I got to like junior high and my high school years, and I was playing for people in talent shows and winning talent shows, and all this kind of stuff, even at Tennessee State, and at Tennessee State, I was a business administration major at first, and I was in a program called Inroads.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
you remember Inroads?
I do.
Yeah, man, that was for us smart people.
Yo, that's what's up.
Yeah, but I went and had to meet with the president because I was upset because they didn't have a music program. It was only for business, engineering, and some computer sciences, right?
Right.
So I felt like it was unfair because not all minorities want to do that. What about assisting somebody who wants to be in the musical field, somebody who wants to be in, something else? And so I opted out. Went on my own, changed my major to music with emphasis on piano and voice.
Okay.
So I sang opera in college too. Yeah, and so all of that. And so that's where I learned how to preserve my voice.
I was
You
just gonna
know,
say that because even listening to the new records, bro, the range is everything is still like intact, and not a lot of people know how to preserve the voice. And I think so much of that, the same way you were talking about lessons in, you know, on instruments, people just assume that that because they've been blessed with a gift that they don't have to necessarily nurture it because they were just given the gift. But you can still nurture your voice, and that's one of the biggest keys that I haven't had many people mention about vocals, is learning how to preserve your voice, learning how to sing, warming up, all those different things you learn from taking voice. Not a lot of people really promote like that when it comes to R&B and, you know, those popular forms of music. But I'm glad that you mentioned that, bro. And opera too, like huge.
and you know, gospel music is the first thing that'll tear your throat up. You know, you go up in these choirs and stuff, and you should be with me. Just singing your heart out, you
Yeah.
know, all that kind of stuff, and singing from the wrong place, you know, and sucking on lemons and eating these Hall's cough drops and everything and stuff. Like, hold up, wait a
Yeah.
minute, don't do that. You tearing your voice up. Yeah, and that squall and that scream and that squall.
Oh, the scream and the squall.
There's a technique to that. If you don't know how to do it right, you're gonna tear your vocal cords out.
Wow.
So, yeah, so you know, just those kind of things, man. But it's been a beautiful journey, you know, for me so far, and I don't plan on ending no time soon.
Well, look, I love that. So you mentioned that you ended up coming down to Atlanta auditioning for the group. You mentioned you beat out you beat out CeeLo and, and some
Don't
others.
say it like that. Don't say it like that. That's my boy. That's my boy.
Hey, but look though, what so was the group already gelled when you became a member of the group, and how was that transition wise for you to kind of, you know, create your own space, realizing that you were, I guess, a newer member, let's just say.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm the kind of person. I don't meet no strangers. You know what I mean? And I give people a chance, you know, to come with me. You know, I just go in, I just be myself. You know what I'm saying? And it's like as soon as I got into the pack, you know, we just started gelling. We just started singing together. You know, and they would ask me, you know, some questions about, since I'm the oldest. You know, they would ask me some questions about, you know, some things that we'd get together and we'd rehearse, and we'd even have vocal rehearsals, and then I'd take them through exercises and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it ended up being really cool. I mean, it's just like I jumped right in, and it was like it was meant to be.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And
man.
they were already five members. Even the guy whose place I took, you know, he was there.
Oh
You
wow.
know, during the auditions and everything. You know, we became cool. You know what I'm saying? So,
That's what's up. Yeah, you always been that type, you know, like you mentioned the Prince tribute and everything like that. I mean, I remember being at rehearsals for that, and you were just as welcoming, you know, like, hey, you know, go, you know, do your thing. You know, that's something that I appreciate coming as, you know, an artist that was coming up at the time, like somebody being able to just a kind word, man. People would be surprised what a kind word will do to somebody who's doing something that
that's
requires,
it.
it takes some nuts to get up there on stage and put yourself out there like that. And if you can just even get one kind word from somebody, it makes a big difference. So you've always been that type of person, and I appreciate that.
Thank you,
Um,
man. Appreciate that.
from the group perspective, was Keith Sweat an influence? I wanted to ask about that because, you know, when I was coming up and I was listening to y'all, I didn't know that there was that connection. So it made me a little curious about what the connection, how deep the connection ran, or the influence or the mentorship or anything like that.
Yeah, he was the king. He was the king of that day because actually, you know, Elektra Records gave him his label, Kia Records, and we were actually signed to Kia Records.
Okay.
You know, so he was responsible for putting our first project out
Okay.
and everything. And as you can see,
Yeah. Yeah.
he
So
he did he put his foot in it along with Roy Murray. and
Oh,
you know, a couple of other guys. You know, what was his name? Easy, I Rock. You
okay.
know,
Yeah.
Jill LeBert.
Oh.
Rest in peace, Unc. That was our
Ooh.
uncle right there.
Yeah.
Um, Alton Wilkie Stewart. You know, the list goes on, man. So
Well,
we had some serious backing, you know,
yes, you
from these
did.
people with their expertise.
Listen,
So,
well, I know people are throwing all these different comments in there, so I want to make sure that you know people are appreciating you as this conversation is going on. If you're just tuning in, I'm Cameron Corvet. I got my guy Lil G, and we're going down a little bit of memory lane before we get into the new stuff. Can I just tell you, because I'm a longtime fan, and I don't miss an opportunity to make sure I express that to the people who I talk to.
uh,
Um, it's rare in groups that you have more than one vocal
mhm.
that is signature, but it's also different and complement each other. And I felt like your group is one of the few that had distinguishable vocals, but it was kind of like having a football team and you got running backs, receivers, and you got a bruising running back that's just gonna go through the middle and just run over everybody, and you got a running back that's gonna juke and go to the side. Gee, I mean, I swear that's how all the records came across to me. And I
Mhm.
want to ask you, um, it's kind of a multi-part question, so I'll just start with this. How much do politics in a group setting play when it comes to like who's doing what part?
Nah, man, we didn't play that.
Okay.
We didn't play that. We do everything, you know, democratically. You know, there's certain producers that would come in, or even if it's songs that you know that I produced or that we produced ourselves. You know, we all had the attitude of spread the wealth. You know, I mean, I may have gotten, you know, used a lot more, you know, starting with the first and the second albums and all of that kind of stuff. But you know, it really started to come in on the Tonight album where we really started to, you know, spread it out more and everything. And I was enjoying that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of
Uh,
pressure, a lot of pressure on one brother to be doing it all the time,
hey,
every day. You know
hey,
what I mean?
listen. I can only imagine. I can I ask you about Freak Me though? Because
Yeah.
listen, I just gotta bring this up. I gotta bring this up for everybody who's watching out there. That might be the only R&B smash where the verses are is a cat talking, gaming you like the whisper.
You
Tell me
know
about
what?
that.
I have said that that song was the first entry in fusing rap and R&B together.
Listen,
That was the first one, wasn't it?
yeah, listen. I when I went back to the record, I listened to the record. I'm like, wait a second. The verses are pillow talk G.
Yes, sir.
And I'm like, yo, to think that that worked, how well that worked, and it was so different. I had never heard it before. I don't know that I've heard it since, but it was still a way for all of y'all to exist on a record and still come across, which is like it always came across to me as a team effort. But I'm like, in that record, like that was like the benchmark for how I wanted to try to speak when it was time to talk. You know how R&B records, right? They get to the part and the guy would start talking, hey girl, man, that's the first record I've ever seen. Even when I watched the performance y'all did on the awards show, I'm like, yo, this is I'm like, yo, insane. Insane. Was that intentional though? When y'all were recording it?
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you something, man, about Freak Me. We was scared as hell.
What
Keith
y'all
came
scared
into
of?
Keith came into the studio. We church boys. All of us was church boys.
Okay.
And here come Keith Sweat talking about us singing some freak me, let me lick you up and down. Do you say stop? I'm like, our mama go whoop our asses. No, we can do. Cause we was talking him down on that. He's like, yo, baby, you just need to trust me, baby. You know what I'm saying, baby? I mean, I ain't got all these millions of hits around here for nothing. You know, I ain't running around here on tour and everything, baby. You know, for nothing. You know what I mean? And so I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. Look, man, you just gotta trust me, baby. You just gotta trust me.
Wow.
All right, okay, Keith. So we went on to the lab and we did that sucker, and look what happened.
Wow.
Boom.
Boom.
Happy Days. Happy Days was the first single. You know, that was jumping.
Yeah.
Happy days are here again. Oh, come on. But then Freak Me just hit and just, it was like Fruit Loops. I'm like, what
Listen,
is going on around here?
if you were around any middle school dance, now I know middle schoolers weren't necessarily meant to be listening to any middle school dance. When that record came on, I don't care where you like. Oh nah, you walked in the dance, you identified. All right, look, when End of the Road by Boyz II Men comes on, I'm gonna try to dance with her. When Freak Me comes on, I gotta dance with her. It just was what it was. I mean, classic records.
It's just something
And
about that song, man. Even little children singing it, and I feel bad about that when I feel, but I'm so used to it now. You know, there's nothing you can do. You know, I've had many stories about people coming to me talking about they got whipped, and you know, and they got locked in their room, got put on punishment and everything for listening to that song, man. Oh,
okay, all right, let's move forward a little bit. So, when you created your first solo project, so when it was
mhm.
time to create the other side, what was that experience like for you? I would say post Silk, in the sense that there was an identifiable brand that Silk was. But when it came to Lil G, did you instantly know, okay, this is my brand, this is what I do, this is how I want to do it? What was that process like, that discovery part?
You know, I had discussions, you know, with the guys, you know, even when I, you know, first got in, because even at the onset of that, you know, I was in Nashville and I was working on a production deal with a guy from Famous Music Publishing.
Oh,
Matter of fact, the two songs that I sang for the audition were songs that he and I had written and put down together in Nashville,
okay.
because we were going to start a project on me anyway. But when that opportunity came, I was like, yeah, I got to do this, bro. So Keith and them bought him out. And so I did that. So they've always known that I had aspirations to do that,
Okay.
you know. And, you know, it's a rocky road, you know what I mean? You know, because, you know, some time has to be taken and given to yourself in order to be able to put it down like it needs to be, you know, and stuff like that. But I always knew the direction that I wanted to go into, because I wanted to let the world know that I was more than just a singer. You know, that I was a musician, you know, I was a writer and a producer, you know, even though I wrote on the Silk and produced on the Silk records too, you know, I wanted to be known, you know, more so they could get a more individual feel for me, because I was already doing plays and everything. So, you know, so I put it together. I had my studio in my basement of my house, full-fledged studio, and playing drums and all kind of stuff and everything, you know, and I put it together, and that's the reason why I entitled it The Other Side, you know, because I wanted them to see more than, you know,
Mm,
just let me lick you up and down and the
yeah.
lose control and that freaky little boy, you know, on his case. You know, so that that project encompassed musicianship and the other aspects of how I portray women,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
because R&B music is all about the who,
Yeah. Hmm.
el woman.
Hmm.
you know, and it showed my well-roundedness,
Yeah.
you know, in a sense. And I didn't quite have the machine that I needed, you know, for the project to go as far as it could have gone, but everything is a start and everything is a task, you know. So, you know, I'm still proud of it.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
there are some things on there that I'm probably going to bring back in the future,
Okay.
you know, like after this new project that I'm working on now.
Yeah.
I'm getting
Okay.
ready to start releasing on. So it was a good
Let's
experience.
let's talk about the new music.
Uh-oh.
Um, one thing I love is that when you are an artist that has, I say the term never skipped a step, right? Because you've had the experience as a pure singer, you've had the experience as a musician, pure musician, you've had the experience doing both, you've had the experience writing, producing, and everything. It just creates for better, like when as a music listener, sometimes these days you don't know who you're really listening to because there's so many people involved in so many different songs. It's kind of like, all right, well, is this what the artist really believes, or is this just a record that's a placement, you know? So I do feel like when you're an artist like yourself who can play and write and sing, there's authenticity that comes across a lot easier. um, I listened to the first joint, the That's My Baby joint, and I was playing that before you got in. But I wanted to kind of ask for the people who are out there listening and eager to hear some new music, kind of what the direction is overall, what they kind of can expect. I'm actually going to play a little bit of the other joint, "Oh My Heart" as well. But before that, I wanted them to hear something from you.
Okay. Well, this project is okay. I have a bunch of songs
Okay.
that I have done. So actually, what I'm doing, I'm splitting it up.
Okay.
So I want y'all to get ready for it. Everything G presents G7 No Parole,
Okay.
a, a 5 EP series.
Wow.
Now, the two songs that the My Baby and Oh My Heart,
Hmm.
these are two of the songs that are coming from the first
Okay.
EP. And the first EP is going to be called All About Her. And it's going to be those songs that's uplifting the woman, you know, that's my baby, you know, that's, and it's all about her. On
Yeah.
my heart, as you'll hear, it's all about her,
Yes.
et cetera,
I
et
don't
cetera,
think
et cetera.
I don't think we have enough of that, you know? I'm glad that, man, when I feel like there's just a lot of a certain type, there's a lot of a certain brand of music that presents women in a certain type of way. And then, I don't want to say blame it on the music, but when you listen to things over and over and over again, you start to adopt some of that you're listening to. So it makes sense. And I think it's going to be welcome, for women to hear just how much black men really do love women out there. You know what I'm saying? How much we really do appreciate them and care about them. That needs to be more evident in the music. So um, I do want to play some of "Oh My Heart" if that's okay with you.
Okay, it's beautiful.
All right, all right, y'all. My body get tingly. That's when I knew you were the one for me. It wasn't simple as 1, 2, 3, like picking apples from an apple tree. Your shiny hair, the twinkle from your eyes, your body so rare, got every man hypnotized. Baby, you're the best thing I think I'll ever see. Yeah. what happens when you're near me. Oh, yes, sir. Yo, why can I hear you just going crazy on the electric on that joint live though? Like, just taking us all the way there. Like, that's one of my favorite time signatures too. So I was like, I was all into it, bro. Like, for real. So that's part of the first EP of the 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got you. What types of other songs can we expect on that first EP?
Well, I've got a song on there that's called Be With You. It says, I remember yesterday when we used to run and play all those childhood games. Didn't even know your name, but still we got along. Never had a care at all. Picked you up when you'd fall. Through it all, we'd had a ball. Yet tomorrow's another day. I hope that you can come out and play. I don't care what game you choose. I just want to be with you. I want to be with you no matter what we do. Just to be around you, see, makes me oh so happy. I just want to be with you.
Listen. Talk. You better talk that talk, G. Talk the talk. Walk the walk.
And that one's got a real nice acoustic feel to it. It's just acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
And a little beat and some light strings and stuff up, light piano up under it. So yeah.
So you got there's a bunch of ladies in here. What has it been like throughout the course of your career as it relates to music? Because there are a lot of, I remember I've dated a couple women and they're like, oh, you do music? Oh, I can't even date you because my dad told me not to date nobody that does music. I'm like, you don't even know me. But I'm curious from your perspective, how do you balance as a musician, as a singer, as someone who does a lot of things and gets pulled in a lot of different directions? How do you balance a love interest with that love of music and performing and everything that comes with it?
Well, I think, even with children being involved and stuff like that, it's a hard task, but then again, it's not so hard. You just have to learn how to juggle. You have to learn how to juggle and figure out the importance of whatever the situation is at that particular time. And then the main thing is finding that someone or someone who is in key right with you, who understands and who knows and who is not in competition with your first lady, which is music. Because before you met this person, who was right there with you through all that time. So Miss Music has to be respected in a sense, and not put in a competitive effort, and what would be realized is that in being sufficient like that and in being compassionate towards it and passionate for it like that, it will in turn evolve the love magnet over this way.
That part.
That part. Long, exciting and new. Yeah.
I think people sometimes run out of patience, G, like, especially if you're up and coming. Like, I always have been like, man, I want a woman who's down with me before I do my thing and everybody knows. But that's a whole nother thing when you're trying to accomplish your goals and you want somebody who can appreciate you for where you are, but also see you for where you're gonna go. It makes sense, but people aren't that patient though.
Mountains have fell on me, but I ain't dead yet.
Mountains. Wow. Wow. Okay. So I know that a lot of times, and this is just a question when it comes to reunions, let's say, right?
Mm-hmm.
You put a pause on the group thing, everybody does their thing, it's all good. And then there's a demand, let's say. And from a business standpoint, if there's a demand, it makes sense, you know what I mean, to pull things together and hit the road and do this or do that. Do people's roles, not roles in the group, but do you feel like in those situations, certain mentalities grow? Has there been growth? Have you seen growth when you guys, you know, take a break from each other and get back together? Or is it kind of like you fall back into the same thing it was? What's your perspective on that?
Most definitely, there's been a whole lot of growth.
That's
And
what's
that's
up.
one thing I'm so proud of, because if you think about it, we're really, it's only like one or two groups that are still together that
Right.
have their original members. We are one of those. Is it two?
Yeah.
Because I can't understand for the life of me. You know, I love everybody, but I just can't understand how you cannot find a way to come to an agreement with each other and get out here and make this money, you know, and keep the brands,
Yeah.
you know, and all of that going, man. You know, I mean, I'm gonna tell you right now, all of us boys, each one of us has had some kind of knockdown drag out with the other one. You know, not,
Mm-hmm.
fist fight and stuff like that. You know what I mean? In a
Yeah.
family, in a family arena, and even in a business arena, you're gonna have disagreements. You know, but you have to learn how to agree to disagree. You know, and do things in a democratic effort. You know, just if you get outvoted, you just outvoted. You know, that's it. Suck it up. Get on out there and let's do what we do.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're still feeling some kind of way about it, you better not let it show on that stage. But we can talk about it later.
Man,
Wouldn't it be great?
that's a refreshing perspective because like you said, man, original members, man, you just don't see it. It's like a I mean, I I don't even know what to say about it. I didn't even think about it from that standpoint, but yeah, I can only think of maybe Jodeci when it's Jodeci maybe, or no. Am I wrong?
What?
About maybe Jodeci coming together, that they come together, all four of them, or am I wrong? Who was the other group you were thinking about?
I mean, they did, but right now I believe Jagged Edge.
Oh, for sure,
You
for
know,
sure.
I think it's just Silk and Jagged Edge right now.
Dang, yeah, man. There's too
And if
much.
anybody, and
Mm,
if anybody can think of another one that's that still got all the original members together that I may have overlooked or
mm,
anything, charges to my head and not my heart,
yeah,
and just let me know. I'd be glad to know who it is.
yeah.
You know.
Somebody put Blackstreet, but I don't think Blackstreet has his original members in it though. Mm-mm.
Blackstreet is like two different groups right now.
Oh, damn.
I
That's
think. I
Yeah,
think.
I think so too. I think so too. Man, it's crazy. You know, I think in our community we can hopefully this situation we're going through is causing us to appreciate the relationships we have a lot more, realize how short life is, you know what I'm saying? And
Hmm. Oh yeah,
and
next.
and
Next is back
oh,
together.
next. Okay.
Yeah.
Um and it's kind of like, you know, like
Thank you for
if you
that.
come. Yeah, I appreciate that as well. I mean, when you're in a situation where you known somebody for Yep, the majority of your life, and you get together when you didn't have anything, and y'all seen each other make money and see the world and experience things most people don't get to experience. I don't know why you don't that right there. That's like, it's like y'all are brothers. You know what I'm saying? People don't necessarily look at it like that. I'm glad y'all do. And I know, speaking as a fan, that's what we want to see, you know? Like, let me tell you, like, the market is like, we want to hear this. That's the music that we want to hear, you know? We want to see y'all do that. So I appreciate y'all for keeping the groups, you know, the concept of groups in their entirety alive, because there groups don't last. They don't last 3 years. You know what I'm saying?
And don't y'all get it twisted. I'm not the only one coming out with some new music. The
Mm-hmm.
group is going back in the lab. You know, we've been
Nice.
in the lab, but we're going back in the lab to do some more. And Sir John is doing a solo project as well. I'm right there
Dope.
with it. We all
See?
together. It was
That
this promoter. It's this promoter up in Virginia, and this is his saying all the time. He said, "Yeah, we together, baby. We all together, baby."
that's I, hey G, you never go wrong by showing love. This is what I try to tell the young bulls coming up under me. Like, yo, you never go wrong when you show somebody love, as long as it's coming from a genuine place. You all listen, you can't be on the receiving end to tell somebody how to receive being genuine. But if you're showing love, man, you on the right side of things, man. And why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you support John's project and the whole project and vice versa? We all in this thing together. It's still a team. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that's the type
Hmm.
of thing that I just want to make sure people hear. If okay, so let's say if somebody was in a group right now,
Hmm.
and the timing was just right for this group, for them to be a part of the group, what would your advice be to someone who, let's say, imagines themselves as a solo artist, but the opportunity is the opportunity exists for them to be a part of a group? What advice would you give them going into the situation?
I would tell them to make sure that they search their hearts to the fullest. Because it wouldn't be fair to the group, if you get in there just to get in. You see what I'm saying? Knowing in the back of your mind that you're just really trying to use this as a catapult to get your own stuff out. If you make the decision to go with it, you have to have something that's called stick to itiveness. See it through. Now, and always be transparent.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Let it be known in the beginning, when you go in, there's going to come a time, that I'm going to want to, do something a little different, not necessarily doing it against you, but hopefully with your support, we can pull it all together and everything will help to push the other along. You just have to
Mm-hmm.
have the right mind frame, and you have to have patience and understanding.
Gotcha.
And you have to learn, if you join a group, you have to learn each person individually so that you will know how to approach that person and they will know how to approach you, in situations that are not of a grouply effort, but even if it's anything that's in connotation to, the group effort, and there's certain individuals who have to work certain things out. You just have to learn that with each other. And the one thing that is missing across this whole globe is love. The love is gone, man. I got a song that's coming out on one of my EPs, and it's called Like We Used To.
Mm-hmm.
You know, People have heard that one before, on some other things that I have done here recently. And it says, we don't talk like we used to. We don't kiss like we used to. We don't love like we used to. We don't trust like we used to. We don't play like we used to. We don't date like we used to. We don't lay like we used to. And the main one is we don't even pray like we used to.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You
Yep.
know, and that's in relationships, friendships, whatever kind of ship it is. Our world is tore up right now, man. So we got to mend it back together.
Yep. Yeah, we sure
And,
do.
and music is one of the main things that helps be the glue.
Yep.
So I'm trying to bring back that gorilla glue, buddy.
Well, listen, I wanted to give you the last word. I wanted to make sure people know about the first of the 5 EPs, when the new music's dropping, if there's anything that your audience, your fan base can expect from you before IG starts giving me the little wind down. I appreciate your time. This has been great. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad you came through for me. And I know everybody here has been enjoying themselves. But I want to give the floor to you to just talk to your fans, G, and let them know what's up.
All right. First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity, for me to come and be in your presence, to be on this show. Say, everybody, we down like 4 flat tires with no spare now, bro. And another thing I want to do, I know you see all of this behind me, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. See, I was out and about, and because of traffic, I wasn't going to be able to make it back to my house in time. So this gentleman right here, Kervon? Kerwin was so nice.
Yes.
And
Pleasure meeting you.
Yes, sir.
Let me in his establishment in Stonecrest Mall.
Evolve Clothiers.
It's called Evolve Clothiers.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you something. If you're looking for some upscale attire from him around here, I want you to come down here to Stonecrest Mall. And you got another location. Where is that one at?
North Lake Mall.
North Lake Mall.
That's
Yes.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah,
you need
brother
to
is
come
sharp.
on
He's sharp.
Hey, see what I'm talking about?
Thank you.
Super sharp. Yes, sir.
So if you want to be grown man sexy,
We'll take care of you.
and handle your business.
Casual outfits, whatever.
Yeah, casual too. Look at that back.
Wow.
Hey, look at that pink suit right there, boy.
That's for the players right there.
Yes, sir. So I tell you, I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you all.
And
It's my pleasure.
So everybody, you can follow me on IG at Gary LILG, Gary Lil G. Facebook is Gary Lil G Jenkins. Twitter is Gary Jenkins, etc., etc., etc. My my webpage is being built now, and it's forthcoming here pretty soon, and that's called LilGaryJenkins.com.
Right.
Taking it back. And the first EP of the 5 EP series is going to be released in September, and it's called It's All About Her. And it's going to be on all social media bases, all media bases. And the second one is called Bedroom Floor Outside. So you know what that one's going to be about.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm finna use.
And I'll just tell you the title of one of those songs. It's called Blindfold. But anyway, yeah. So anyway, yeah. And then I got another one called Inside Out. It says, stripping you from inside out, discovering what you're about.
Let's go.
How you like it, how you want it, just be about it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming out, and we really enjoy you tuning in to us today.
Yes. Please make sure y'all follow my guy. All About Her is gonna be coming to you. I've got 2 records to listen to, so I'm gonna be good over here. And once again, man, I appreciate you. I'm gonna pull some clips out of this and post them a little later, so people who didn't get a chance to join us can see how much fun we had. So, man, I appreciate you once again for taking the time, my guy.
All right, my bro. Thank y'all for having me. I'll see y'all later, everybody.
All right now.